Jay. We don't have anyone clocked in.
Members, make sure you log into your microphone there. How about it, John Ray? Good morning. Welcome to Government Operations Subcommittee on Judiciary and Government. It is August 19th, year of our Lord, 2026. And if you're in this room, you happen to be in probably the most exciting, invigorating committee meeting in all of the state of Tennessee today. And people will be watching what you say and what you do all over the world on the World Wide Web. And we're glad you're here. Welcome. Mr. Clerk, take the roll.
Senator Bowling. Senator Bowling is present. Senator Hatcher. Present. Senator Hatcher is present. Senator Jackson. Here. Chairman Jackson is present. Senator Kyle. Senator Kyle is present. Senator Rose. Here. Senator Rose is present. Vice Chair Sutherland. Here. Vice Chair Sutherland is present. Representative Clemens. Yeah. Clemens is present. Fritz. Here. Fritz is present. Lafferty. Here. Chairman Lafferty is present. Helton Haynes. Here. Helton Haynes is present. Mayberry. Here. Mayberry is present. Chairman Faison.
Present.
Chairman Faison is present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum in both chambers.
Members, I will remind you that this committee, the Government Operations Committee, and especially the Sunset Hearing Committees, are truly the envy of states all across America, because that is not statutorily necessary in every state. You will be shocked to know that very few state legislatures have the ability to call in government agencies from the executive branch and do an audit and review the audit, do a hearing on them, and see if they're actually worthy of being there statutorily. That's the beautiful thing of our state and of this committee, and it's important that we do this. Before we begin, do we have any announcements or anything anybody on this committee would like to say? Seeing none. Members also want to remind you that the action taken by the Joint Committee today can be to extend the entity by 1 to 8 years, terminates, which would put the entity in a 1-year wind down period, restructure the entity, or we can make no recommendation. Our recommendations will be drafted into the individual sunset bills that will be heard during full committee in 2027 legislative session. There's also a public comment sheet at the front table. If anybody in the audience would like to speak, please make sure you sign up. And if there are no questions, let's start with item number 1 on our agenda. Department of Revenue, welcome. Comptroller's Office and Department of Revenue, this is not your first rodeo. You've been here many times. But as a reminder, because every month we go through this, we just want to remind you, before you speak, would you state your name, who you're with, and then tell about it. Comptroller's Office, would you like to start? Tell us about the audit.
Good morning, Chairman Faison and members of the committee. My name is Chelsea Bell, and I'm a senior legislative auditor with the Comptroller's Office Division of State Audit.
And my name is Brent Pygott, and I am also a senior legislative auditor with the Comptroller's Office Division of State Audit.
We are here today to present the results of the 2026 Sunset Performance Audit of the Department of Revenue. This audit was conducted as part of the Tennessee Governmental Entity Review Law to assist the Joint Operations Committee in its review of the department.
The Department of Revenue's mission is to make public services possible. As Tennessee's chief tax collection agency, the department administers and collects state taxes and fees, oversees taxpayer compliance, and provides motor vehicle, title, and registration services. During fiscal year 2025, the department collected more than $21 billion in state taxes and fees, along with more than $5 billion for local governments. Because of the department's responsibilities and the volume of public funds it administers, our audit focused on several areas that present operational, financial, and customer service risks.
During this audit, we reviewed several key operational areas of the department. We examined controls for information systems relative to our audit objectives. These included the Natural Disaster Sales Tax Refund Program, the Franchise Tax Refund Program, the department's processes for levies and seizures of delinquent tax liabilities, seizures of untaxed tobacco and beer from retailers, motor vehicle insurance verification, customer service provided through the call centers, and the department's mailroom operations. Each of these areas were selected because of its importance to the department's mission and its impact on taxpayers and state operations.
Our audit covered the period June 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2025, and we are pleased to report that that audit did not result in findings or observations. While no audit can evaluate every aspect of an agency's operations, the areas we reviewed included several of the department's most significant programs and responsibilities, and we concluded that the department's processes and controls were operating as expected in those areas.
Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to present the results of this audit. We appreciate the cooperation and assistance provided by the Department of Revenue throughout the audit. This concludes our presentation of the 2026 Sunset Performance Audit of the Department of Revenue, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Comptroller's Office. Director, you're recognized. We'll turn it on for you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'm David Gergano. I'm the Commissioner of Revenue. I have with me today on my right, Courtney Boynton, our Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer, and on my left, Amanda McGraw, Deputy Commissioner and Chief Financial Officer. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. Mr. Chairman, the Department of Revenue is committed to serving the public with excellence in the functions that we perform, which principally include revenue collection and motor vehicle title and registration. But we know that achieving excellence of any type requires careful evaluation and continuous improvement. So we would like to thank the General Assembly and this committee for its work in creating and overseeing the Sunset Review process. We would also like to express our sincere appreciation to Ms. Bell, and Mr. Pygott, and the entire comptroller team. We were truly continually impressed by the quality of what they do. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank the Department of Revenue employees, both past and present, whose hard work and dedication have resulted in 2 consecutive performance audits without findings. Mr. Chairman, we have no specific comments to add to the report, but we would be more than happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Director. Members, you've heard from the Comptroller's Office and you've heard from Director Garetano. Do we have questions from the members? Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's great to see you again. My question is, I think reference was made to the franchise tax refunds that went out, that they audited part of that system. Can you give us a total of how many of those, what the total was that was given away?
Mr. Representative, thank you. The total amount of refunds paid was essentially $1.4 billion. I can give you the entire figure if you'd like, but basically $1.4 billion.
And if I may, Chairman, and is the list of recipients still posted on the website, or has that already been pulled down?
It is not posted on the website. Per the statute that was enacted, it was posted for 1 month.
And do you know why that was?
I mean, there was a lot of discussion when the legislation went through the General Assembly. I really can't speak to it beyond, the debate and the action of the General Assembly.
And now it had been reported that a majority of the companies that received that were foreign companies, and they also received a annual tax cut. Do you know what the value for the last fiscal year of that tax cut was under that same piece of legislation?
So that legislation, Public Chapter 950, did eliminate the property measure of the franchise tax. As you know, prior to that legislation, the franchise tax had two alternative measures. You paid on the higher of your apportioned net worth or your property in Tennessee. The legislation eliminated the property portion of that. And the fiscal note on that was about $400 million a year.
And was that the amount this past fiscal year that just ended that we lost 400 million? I remember it had been approximated to be 460 at one point, and I don't know whether it went up or down based on this past year.
Right. So they're no longer required to report their property in Tennessee since it's no longer subject to tax. So we do not have a way to an ongoing measurement of that tax because it's not being reported, or that amount because it's not being reported to us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Members who have any further questions? Members of the public, do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for extension. Chairman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to make a motion to extend the Department of Revenue for 4 years.
Members, we have a motion for a 4-year extension. All the members in the House in favor of 4-year extension say aye. Aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. Call the roll in the Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling. Aye. Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher. Aye. Senator Hatcher votes aye. Senator Jackson. Aye. Chairman Jackson votes aye. Senator Kyle. Aye. Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose. Aye. Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland. Aye. Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 6 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
It is the will of the committee to recommend a 4-year extension. That passed, and it will go to full committee. Ladies and gentlemen, without objection, we're going to take item number 5 out of order. Item number 5 out of order. This is the Civil Rights Enforcement Division and the Office of the Attorney General. Mr. Attorney General and your staff and Comptroller's Office, would you please approach? No Comptroller's Office on this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. General. Welcome to Government Operations Committee. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jonathan Scrimetti. I serve as Tennessee's Attorney General. It's my pleasure to introduce Stephen Griffin, who is the Director of Civil Rights Enforcement of the newly established Civil Rights Enforcement Division.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Stephen Griffin. I serve in the Attorney General's office as Director of Civil Rights Enforcement. It's great to be here with you today just to discuss the work that we're doing on behalf of Tennesseans. A little over a year ago, the General Assembly voted to wind down the former Tennessee Human Rights Commission and to establish the new Civil Rights Enforcement Division within the AG's office to serve as the primary enforcer of Tennessee's anti-discrimination laws. CRED has enforcement authority over the Tennessee Human Rights Act and the Tennessee Disability Act. And these statutes prohibit discrimination in the workplace, in housing, in our schools, and in places of public accommodation across our communities. CRED's mission is to eliminate and help remedy unlawful discrimination in Tennessee. And our work is rooted in the foundational principle that every individual, all Tennesseans, are created equal and deserve to be judged not by the color of their skin or any other protected characteristic, but on the content of their character, their skills, and their abilities. When CRED launched last summer, we got right to work building a team and developing processes well-equipped to fulfill that statutory mission in a way that's more effective and more efficient than the agency that we replaced. CRED currently includes 5 attorneys, all of whom had prior experience with litigating civil rights issues, or conducting government investigations, or both. We have a pair of investigators, one of whom used to work for THRC, one of whom came to our office with more than 3 decades of law enforcement experience at the local and federal levels. We also have a team of paralegals and administrative staff that help manage our intake process for the dozens of complaints we receive in CRED each month. We've also developed new processes for reviewing, investigating, and resolving complaints with better outcomes for both individuals claiming discrimination and the businesses accused of discriminatory conduct. When we came in last summer, we faced a number of challenges left behind by the former commission, which we've detailed in our written responses to the Sunset Questionnaire. But most troubling to us was the fact that THRC had let so many complaints linger for years without any sort of closure or resolution. Some of those dated all the way back to 2018. We want to make sure that never happens again. After just 1 year of ramping up operations with CRED, the results already speak for themselves. I just wanted to highlight a few of those numbers today. Through July of this year, CRED received more than 1,600 individual complaints from members of the public, and that's roughly on par with the number of inquiries received annually by the former commission. But unlike THRC, every complaint that comes through our door goes through a prompt and thorough intake process that includes review by an attorney to confirm, 1, whether CRED has jurisdiction, and 2, whether the complainant has presented enough facts to state a claim under the statutes that we enforce. We ultimately process far more complaints in our first year than THRC did in its last. And if we find that a complaint raises issues that we can't help with, which that happens pretty often, we go ahead and let them know that, rather than keeping them in limbo for months or years like what was happening before. But we also try to direct those folks to other state or federal agencies who might be able to help, whether that's EEOC, DOJ Civil Rights, or someone else. By the end of July, we had initiated 134 formal investigations, and that usually includes requesting relevant documents and information from the respondent or third parties. It often involves conducting interviews or taking depositions of potential witnesses. And through the end of July, we had already closed 59 of those formal investigations. 22 of those resulted in settlements that delivered more than $120,000 in monetary relief to aggrieved Tennesseans. Many of those settlements also included affirmative relief, including changes to policies or requirements for anti-discrimination training. Some of those also included civil penalties. We're also mindful that the Tennessee Human Rights Act gives a person claiming discrimination up to 1 year to file a private lawsuit in state court, and that's regardless of whether they file a complaint with our office. So we strive to complete our investigation and get a matter settled, moved to litigation, or closed out before that 1 year limitation period ends. And that wasn't happening before. And by the end of July, CRED had brought closure to more than 1,400 complaints. We've done all that with fewer personnel than the agency that we replaced at a fraction of the cost to taxpayers. And we expect our metrics to be even better in the years ahead. As more and more people learn about CRED and the work that we do and come to us for help, we'll continue to grow out our team to make sure we remain as efficient and as effective as possible. I also want to highlight for the committee that CRED was recently audited as part of a broader performance audit by the Comptroller's Office of the entire Attorney General's office. And that audit resulted in no observations of finding of concern related to CRED. So thank you again for entrusting our team with this important task of eliminating and remedying unlawful discrimination in Tennessee. We're requesting that the Civil Rights Enforcement Division be extended so that we can continue in that critical work. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilor Griffin. I would say on behalf of the legislature, we like to see complaints litigated and mitigated quickly. And that's one of the things I heard there. Members, we have several on the list and we will get to you as soon as possible. Chairman Hatcher, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I ask this question or make a statement first, I guess, and ask the question. There was considerable discussion during the last legislative session regarding the Tennessee Human Rights Commission staff and whether those employees will be given a meaningful opportunity to apply to this new enforcement division. How many former Human Rights Commission employees applied for the position with the Civil Rights Enforcement Division? And how many of those applicants were interviewed? And how many of those that interviewed ultimately were employed?
Thank you, Senator Hatcher. I wasn't personally involved with the initial recruitment piece before July 1st, but my understanding is that every THRC employee who applied for a position with CRED was offered an interview. I believe there were 4 interviews actually done. 3 of the 4 people who were interviewed were offered jobs and accepted jobs with the AG's office. All 3 of those folks are still employed by CRED today.
Thank you.
Chairman Rose, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question also, and then I'll have a comment later in our meeting today. But the General Assembly appropriated money for 30 positions to transfer to your office for the operation of the Civil Rights Enforcement Division. Can you please explain to us how these funds have been spent to date and why all the authorized positions for CRED have not been filled?
Thank you. We received funding per statute for 30 positions that came over from the THRC. We have used that funding to employ 13 folks in CRED. And an important point to remember on that is that we've structured our division differently than THRC did. Our focus is making sure we process complaints and get those to resolution as efficiently as possible with the best outcomes for both those filing complaints and the businesses accused. So our team looks different. We have 5 attorneys. THRC had 1. And their 1 attorney wasn't involved until later on in the investigation process. And so we're structured differently. The appropriations that we received from the state, we came in under budget as far as expenditures last year. We are still growing our team as more and more people file complaints with our office. We're going to grow our team to meet the mission. We don't rely on any federal funding. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the auditor conducted a performance audit of the office and found no findings or observations of concern related to CRED.
And if I can add to that, Senator, we're still calibrating exactly what the needs are going to be. We've been hiring people. We just stood this operation up within the past year. It's been going very well, but we want to make sure we're responding to feedback and keeping an eye on what's going on. So we won't know exactly how big it needs to be until we've had more time to let it grow, to make sure people know about it, and to see, what it takes to get the work done right.
Thank you.
Senator Kyle.
I don't know if I'm on, but I'm sure you can hear me. Thank you for being here today and explaining your position and what you'll be doing. I want to dovetail off Chairman Hatcher, what questions he asked you, because you spent a lot of time focusing and commenting on the fact that you had taken so many cases that were not worked and not closed. But I want to get the record straight. They had already gone through a process to get new staff and new people inside their operation. And they were beginning to take care of the backlog. They had done an excellent job, but it was closed down before they could fully get through with all the cases. So I think that they turned over to you less than maybe you think that you had to work. But I am glad to hear that you hired the staff that was there before they were shut down. So they're the ones who really understand it and were already doing what you're doing now. So I want to get the record straight because I don't want anybody's reputation tainted or hurt in this process. But thank you for being here.
And Senator, thank you. The structure is so different. The Human Rights Commission was not designed to be efficient. It was designed in a very complicated administrative process. There were 9 commissioners appointed. There was a really big staff. It was a long way to get from the initiation of a case to the conclusion of a case. The Civil Rights Enforcement Division is designed to be efficient for the sake of both the people who are alleging discrimination and the people who are alleged to have violated their civil rights. So it's not a matter of the people who were there before having the exact same toolkit and just not using it. These are very different institutions. We've got an attorney-driven organization that is designed to enforce the laws. It was a much more process-driven operation with the Human Rights Commission. And so I think there are going to be big differences in what you see on the back end because they're designed very differently.
Respond to that, Chairman, if I may. That's fine and that's fair. I just don't want to leave it unsaid that we didn't have somebody that had just gotten there, that was good, that was heading it up, and she may have made some of those changes had she had the time given to her. That's my point. I'm not saying you're not efficient, more efficient, less efficient, but they were doing the work and they were trying to get there. So let's leave it that she was a good person, she did a good job, and was getting the right staff in there. I want that on the record, if I could, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And I would remind the committee that there were cases open since 2018. Representative Clemens, you're recognized.
That was before she got there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as the Attorney General knows well, as I do, and any other attorney who's ever done civil rights cases are very difficult, and they often last several years. They don't resolve overnight, and they certainly require a good deal of investigation and labor in researching the validity of the claims and prosecuting them is a whole nother process that takes years within the judicial system. So I just want to, two things. One, I want to thank you for your work on the Meta case. That is a very important case. I appreciate the Attorney General's office work to help or try to protect our children. I have 3 young boys. I appreciate the work to try to protect our children from social media. That is a very important case. One question about that. Have you joined the federal lawsuit with the 33 other attorney generals, that bipartisan coalition of 33 other attorney generals at this date, or do you only have the state case?
Because we have the state case, we can't file in the federal case in parallel. There was a coordinated conversation between the AGs organized by us and Colorado about broader strategy. And based on resources and the favorability of state law, I think about 13 states filed individually in state court, and then most of the rest of the states got into the MDL together. So we have shared experts, we have shared a lot of resources and conversations, but we are litigating under Tennessee law. Colorado and 3 other states are leading the litigation with the Bellwether case in the MDL.
Okay. And so you've got Consumer Protection Act claims, you've got various other state claims in the state court, and with regard to the federal claims and injunctive relief being sought by the other AGs, I'm not sure that necessarily precludes us from getting involved in the federal case as well. But anyway, that's not the focus today. The focus today is I want to follow up on a friend Chairman Rose's question, and it gets to the fiscal responsibility of this issue. This body has appropriated, as we've almost doubled the Attorney General's, your office's budget in the last 4 or 5 years. And then with this specific piece of legislation, we allocated money for 33 positions. Now, your recent op-ed in the Tennessean, your office's response to the recent Banner article said that you want to run a lean, effective operation, and that's all well and good. But what are you doing with the rest of that money? Where is the rest of that money being utilized that we've appropriated to you over the past several years, and also in conjunction with this specific piece of legislation?
So with respect to the CRED, over the past year when the appropriation was made, we've been standing up the operation. We are still figuring out exactly how many positions we're going to need. I expect you'll get some feedback from us with respect to the positions that have been filled and budgetary needs going forward. But for the first year of the operation, we were just handed most of the headcount from the Human Rights Commission and the budget of the Human Rights Commission. With respect to the broader budgetary issues, from a big picture perspective, attorneys are expensive and the market has moved substantially. I mean, you look at the top level attorneys at the big firms, they're getting paid more than $3,000 an hour. And these are the people that we're up against. And to get talent and to get people who are able to litigate effectively on behalf of the state and to keep them, we need to pay them. And so public servants don't get paid exorbitantly, but to keep up with the legal market, it has been necessary to give substantial raises. We had a real attrition problem that has been reduced, but we've lost people who have gotten raises that are absolutely staggering. I don't know whether it's appropriate to give specific numbers, but I mean, the people coming out of my office are capable of making an enormous amount of money. And if we're going to have any hope of maintaining an effective legal team, we have to pay them. And there's been a tremendous amount of litigation as well. I mean, the demand for legal services by the state is huge. There's been a lot of constitutional litigation, as the General Assembly is very well aware. Quite a few pieces of legislation have been subject to significant and well-resourced litigation. We have consumer protection needs. We have the CRED now, but the volume of cases is huge. The legal market is very competitive. And so I think the only way to stay afloat is to ensure that people are compensated sufficiently to want to keep working for the state. And I think that's the biggest driver of the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate that. And I look, $3,000 an hour is pretty exorbitant. I mean, to compare your cost to hiring senior partners at big white collar law firms, that's an unrealistic rate for most attorneys practicing in the state of Tennessee, unless they're just gouging somebody or in a very niche practice. And you know that just as well as I do. Now, you referred to the consumer protection. I mean, this body, unfortunately, has given you exclusive jurisdiction to handle certain consumer protection claims. You yourself in your op-ed and your office admitted handling far fewer cases than the old Human Rights Commission. So again, my question is, you've been given this huge pot of money, additional funds, you're hiring additional lawyers. What are they doing? We don't have, the counts are down on the Consumer Protection Act claims, last I asked. These counts are down. So I guess my question is, and I know this body continues to pass unconstitutional legislation, or at least arguably unconstitutional legislation, giving you work to do, but previous attorney generals had the same challenge. So where's all this money going? And why do you need all these extra attorneys who are allegedly charging $3,000 an hour? And I hope we're not competing for senior level partners at these firms, as opposed to young, hungry lawyers with an education who are ready to work and do public service for the state of Tennessee like yourself.
$3,000 top of the market, but any law firm hiring competitive attorneys is paying substantially more than the state is. And we're never going to close that gap all the way, but we need to keep it realistic enough that people can view this as a viable option. With respect to the constitutional litigation, it sure seems like we're dealing with a lot more of those cases now than people have in the past. Every bill that passes that's remotely controversial seems to result in a lawsuit. And people say the legislature passes a lot of unconstitutional bills. Some of them are, a lot of them aren't, but people say they are, and it's expensive to get from one end of that to the other. With respect to consumer protection, Meta is a $1 trillion company. We've had a large number of people working a long time to put that case together because we have to. And even then, we've had to supplement some on the back end with outside counsel because we're going up against a company that doesn't hire an army of lawyers, it hires an army of law firms. If we're going to have the opportunity to make the difference that the General Assembly and the people of Tennessee want us to make, we have to have the resources to do it. We got a lot of litigation coming in. We've got a huge bankruptcy practice. We have all the bread and butter work of the state. I mean, we are the law firm of a very large organization with employment law issues, with tax law issues, collections issues, everything that you would expect from a major organization, plus all of the government related stuff. So my attorneys are busy. They are working extremely hard for the state. And if you want to look at the track record of, say, consumer protection, we've been a leader on numerous nationwide bipartisan cases involving very big companies. We also have to stay agile and deal with the scam artists that run locally or with certain, local or regional issues that involve a much different scale, much different skill set. If we're going to do what we need to do, we got to play in both of those sandboxes on the consumer end. With respect to antitrust, we were one of the lead states on the Live Nation Ticketmaster case. That took a tremendous amount of resources, especially after the DOJ dropped out on that one. We've got folks who are busy. They're happy. They're making a difference. We're recruiting great people and continuing to retain great people. And the reason we do that is because we do good work that people want to do. We give people the opportunity to practice law in an environment where the focus is on getting the law right and doing good for the people of Tennessee. We're downstream of democracy. If you don't like some of the cases we defend, I get that. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and sometimes there are some challenging constitutional cases that come out. But unless it is unethical to mount a defense, our job is to find the best defense possible and make that defense on behalf of the people's elected representatives and the laws that they pass. So we certainly feel busy, given the number of things that we've done that have gotten attention in the office. It looks like we're busy. If anybody in the office is bored or underused, I'd love to know it because we've got work for them. But, CRED is a little bit different because it is brand new, because we've stood it up. The operating procedures have just been established. So I think it's unrealistic to say we should know exactly what that's going to look like 1 year after the authority transferred. But with respect to every other operation in the office, we've got a great team of very dedicated public servants working really hard and doing right by Tennessee.
Well, one last question, Mr. Chairman, and that gets to kind of what you talked about with the transition. Now, when this bill was brought to shift this over to your department, I sat here and asked representatives from your office if y'all were ready to take this on, if there would be no glitch in the process, if y'all were ready, willing, and able to do this. And I was told a resounding yes. And so now I look in the paper and I start to see excuses. You yourself, even in your op-ed and in the Banner article, say that you inherited a disaster, that they left no centralized list of pending complaints. But also, I read that you ended the partnerships with the federal agencies like HUD and the EEOC, losing funding and the databases that once housed those cases. So did you purposefully end those relationships, giving up access to the databases, which you're now using as an excuse for the difficult transition? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And also with respect to the fiscal issue, and I don't want to let that go. Our primary job is fiscal responsibility, pass a budget, and be good stewards of taxpayers' dollars. So I appreciate your response to my question, but we have a right as legislators to know where the money we're appropriating is going, how it's being used, and whether it's being used well. So I appreciate your response to that, but now I'd like you to kind of explain why y'all were ready, willing, and able and thought there'd be no issue, then purposefully ended these partnerships with information, and now you're using that as an excuse for the transitional difficulties. Can you speak to that?
There's been no difficulties with respect to getting up and running beyond the fact that we've had to get it up and running. We had to hire people. We had to set up the procedures. It's a different set of laws and a different structure. We brought in more money in the past year in the process of getting up and running, more money for people who brought civil rights complaints than the Human Rights Commission had brought before. So, the performance is already exceeding what came before, and it's only going to get better from here. But I think it's fair to let you know that this was the first year, this was the rollout. This year is going to look different than next year because we're not going to have to establish, we're not going to have to hire the core people. We're going to have things up and running and have momentum in the year to come. Stephen, do you want to talk more about the federal partnerships?
Sure. And I mean, there were a lot of things about the transition that we ran into issues with because THRC folks weren't around at the very end to help with the trade-off. We asked for a lot of information, case files that wasn't provided. And so there were issues. None of that prevented us from accepting complaints, initiating investigations, and getting our processes up and going. As far as the federal partnerships, we understand there were already issues between THRC and HUD that were not being met as far as requirements to go with federal funding. With EEOC, we found that the processes required by EEOC to have a work sharing agreement with them only slowed the process down. It required things of our division that were not even contemplated by the Tennessee Human Rights Act. And we still have a formal cooperation agreement with the EEOC that enables us to share information and work together on investigations to make sure that we're working hand in hand to eliminate discrimination in Tennessee. But there's nothing about ending formal partnerships or dual filing that has hindered our work here in Tennessee.
Well, that's not what the Attorney General said in his opinion piece in the Tennessean. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for being here today. I wanted to circle back to something that a couple of our senators were talking about earlier about, and this is not, let me preface all this by saying this is in no way, shape, or form meant to disparage anybody's work ethic, anybody's character, anybody's ability on a job. This is more broadly out to everybody out there that works in government. When there's situations in the private sector, that business owner, that company, that operator figures out those problems, corrects them, and continues to thrive. If they don't, they go the opposite direction, and soon enough, they're out of business. The funny thing about government is when we have all these agencies and bureaus and every form of commission that you can think of, advisory council, whatever it is, they don't seem to start to take corrective actions until the lights come on, until somebody points something out, because there's no incentive to. Our job up here as a Government Operations Committee is to help keep an eye on those situations to make sure that things are moving in the proper direction. So I just wanted to add that to that conversation, that government does not function anything like the private sector does. Everybody in here knows that. But when it comes to the taxpayers' dollars, when it comes to government agencies, government entities, we are the police for that. And this group made the decision that this change needed to happen. I just want to thank you guys for picking up the torch and running with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Senator Bolin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think I'm on.
Got the wrong one. You're on there.
Now, thank you. And thank you very much for your presentation. And I want to thank you for the change you've made. And I think part of the process that we've done, and I want to make sure that I'm seeing this correctly, has been because you have disassociated yourselves from the federal groups that often just ended up as quagmires. And you are now directly addressing the people of Tennessee with solutions to their issues in Tennessee. And I just wanted to verify that some of the things that I understand are accurate. And all I need from you is a yes or a no. That at the time of the dissolution, all of the other things were terminated that were already there, and they were of no legal effect, but THRC sent written notices to alert parties that their complaints had been dismissed and to advise that they would have 90 days to refile their complaint with CRED if they chose to do so. And dozens of those dismissal notices issued by the THRC were returned as undeliverable. For return notices, CRED obtained updated contact information for each complainant and sent new notices regarding the deadline for refiling complaints. Approximately 100 complaints dismissed by THRC were refiled with CRED during that 90-day window. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator. And I would also add that the EEOC picked up hundreds of employment complaints that had been pending with THRC and carried those forward. And HUD picked up dozens of the housing complaints as well.
Thank you. And then another thing that I think is significant, because you all seem to have really picked up and you've started a whole new program that's really more effective for the people of Tennessee, and therefore it's more cost effective as well, because time is money. And if you all can get things accomplished and solved within reasonable times, then that obviously is saving money. But the challenges that you did encounter during the transition, the most significant challenges encountered during the transition, that THRC had a general lack of organization, efficiency, and cooperation. So their structuring was prohibitive to really accomplishing the goals of what they should be doing. And you all have streamlined that and created a more efficient group of people and the way that they're going to handle the cases without the federal involvement in the cases that you're handling. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator. I would add that if you go file a complaint with the EEOC today, the first thing they do is an intake interview. And a lot of those folks are being told that they can't get intake interviews for 6 or 7 months out. If you want to have your case processed faster, go file with CRED. And that's what we're doing.
Well, good. That you have already established your own credibility, and I appreciate that for the people. And that THRC did not have a central list of pending complaints or its own case management system. Instead, it primarily stored case information, investigative files in systems maintained by the federal government. And I'm from the federal government, and I'm here to help is the most dangerous sentence in the English language, I think. So those files are difficult to locate and difficult to access. And now you are taking care of Tennesseans as you go through the systems that are available to resolve the issues that they have come to you with. And people are coming to you. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator. And we have also now closed or settled nearly all of the pending THRC complaints that were refiled with our office.
I appreciate the work you all doing on behalf of Tennesseans. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have public comment. We have Mr. Gavin Crowell. Members, I always think it's important that someone from the public is willing, has the fortitude to come and address our committee. And Mr. Crowell, welcome. We will turn that microphone on for you. Tell us who you are, who you're with, and you've got 3 minutes, sir.
All right, are we live? Sounds like it. Well, good morning, Chair, members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to make public comment. My name's Gavin Kroll-Williamson. I work as a research analyst and Title VI coordinator with the Metro Nashville Human Relations Commission. And as we've heard, the legislature made significant change to Tennessee's civil rights enforcement structure last year. And my goal here today is not to revisit that decision, but to encourage the state to make the new structure under CRED as accessible, effective, transparent, and accountable as possible. Here locally, the Metro Human Relations Commission has served Nashville and Davidson County for decades with the mission of promoting equal opportunity, preventing discrimination, and fostering understanding among our communities. Our work includes Title VI compliance, responding to civil rights inquiries, receiving and investigating complaints, providing technical assistance and education, and tracking the types and patterns of concerns brought to us. Our experience has taught us that civil rights enforcement is about more than resolving individual complaints. The questions people ask and the complaints they file, as well as the patterns that emerge from that information, can help identify systemic problems, improve compliance, and prevent discrimination before it occurs. Maintaining good data, preserving institutional knowledge, and making the system understandable and accessible to the public are therefore important parts of effective enforcement. As CRED continues to develop, we encourage attention to these broader functions, as well as attending sufficient capacity to respond to Tennesseans in a timely manner. And I'll close by saying we also want to offer ourselves as a resource. The Metro Human Relations Commission has experience working with local government, communities, and individuals on Title VI compliance and other civil rights matters. We would welcome opportunities to share what we've learned, strengthen referral and communication pathways, and collaborate with the division and other local human relations commissions. The structure may have changed, but the need for effective civil rights protection has not. We hope that the state and local civil rights agencies can work together to build an enforcement system that Tennesseans can understand, access, and trust. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Crowell. Members, do y'all have any questions for Mr. Crowell? Mr. General, would you have anything you want to follow up on that?
Appreciate the openness. I think a lot of opportunity for collaboration is out there. I know we are working on outreach with other actors in the civil rights community. We've got some opportunities coming up soon for that, and I think there are always good times to collaborate. It's a way to be efficient and responsive, and I really appreciate the comment.
Thank you, sir. Go back in the session. I have a question for Councilor Griffin or General. When an individual in Tennessee feels like their civil rights have been violated and they live in rural Tennessee, how do they go about finding you? What do they do?
That's a great question, Mr. Chairman. It's as simple as going on the internet and typing in, how do I file a discrimination complaint in Tennessee? And our website pops right up. A person can go on the Attorney General's website and right from the homepage, click on a link to CRED and file a complaint through our online complaint portal. If somebody needs a paper copy or a PDF version, we can send that to them in any language that they request because we have interpreter services available. If somebody has special needs, they can call in. We have people available by phone to help them fill out a complaint if they need that too.
So, Counselor, when you go online and search it, have y'all checked to find out, are y'all first in line? Are you on the front page? If I do a Google search, I want to file a civil rights complaint with said business, they're able to find you immediately?
We have, and they should be able to do that.
Will they?
And we've had a ton of people that have done that.
Is there a live person that they can get a hold of, or do they have to fill out a form first?
We have our contact information on our website that has email address, phone number, fax number. People still use fax machines. And you can call in and you can talk to staff on our team each day of the week.
So that's my question. It's so frustrating to get a hold of government, and you sit on hold and send this email here. But what I understand you to say is if they call you or if there is an email sent, they're going to hear something within the day, tomorrow. What does that look like?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Members have any further questions for Attorney General? We will entertain a motion. Chairman Lafferty, you recognized.
I'd like to make a motion for a 4-year extension.
There has been a motion for a 4-year extension. Mr. Clerk, call the roll in the Senate.
Senator Bowling? Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher? Senator Hatcher votes aye. Senator Jackson? Chairman Jackson votes aye. Senator Kyle? Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose? Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chairman Sutherland? Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 6 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Members in the House in favor of a 4-year extension, we say aye. The recommendation of this committee, I'm sorry, any of those say no? The recommendation of this committee is for 4-year extension sent to the full committee. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will go back to item number 2 on your agenda. That is the Advisory Committee on Open Government. Also reminding you, if you would like to speak in this committee and you're from the public, there's a sign-up sheet up front to my right. Gentlemen, you're recognized. Would you state who you are? We'll turn the microphone on for you. State who you are, who you're with us, and tell us about Advisory Committee on Open Government.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the committee. My name is Brian Lapps. I'm one of the co-chairs on the Advisory Committee for Open Government. In my day job, I am General Counsel for the Tennessee Board of Regents.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Joel Christopher. I'm the executive editor of Knox News and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
The Advisory Committee on Open Government was created in 2008 in the same legislation that created the Office of Open Records Counsel. We have 14 appointed members, 7 of whom come from the government side. I'm one of those representatives, and 7 of whom are open records advocates and media and other and public interest groups. We have 3 ex officio members. That includes Chairman Briggs, Chairman Crawford as a result of their roles, as well as a representative from the Attorney General's office. We have no staff. The Office of Open Records Counsel facilitates our meetings, posts materials on the website, on a website dedicated to us, and otherwise helps us comply with the Open Meetings Act by live streaming meetings and maintaining our minutes online. They provide the conference space for us as well. This is ACOG's first sunset review. Recent history and role, we're statutorily required to meet at least once a year. COVID was a rough patch for us. There were no meetings between 2020 and 2025. The COVID obviously not lasting all that length of time, but what happened was the statute previously required that the co-chairs, 2 co-chairs, call a meeting. Once one of the co-chairs rolled off without having had a meeting been called, there was no way legally to call a meeting. And that was solved by the General Assembly in 2025 with an alteration of the statute that makes sure that won't happen again. So after not meeting for those 5 years, we have now met elected co-chairs, and we've met 4 times within the past 2 years, and we've got a goal of meeting at least 3 times per year. The meetings are well attended, no danger of not having a quorum in any of our meetings. In 2026, we submitted the statutorily required annual report, which was in the materials that we submitted to the Comptroller's Office in response to the audit. And it describes how we elected co-chairs, created a public comment policy, and for the first time, and we should have bylaws by next month at our regular meeting. Our statutorily assigned duties are to provide advice when requested by the governor, the General Assembly, and as well as the Office of Open Records Council. We have not received any of those such requests in the past 2 years. So in summary, I'd say after periods of dormancy, the current committee has ramped up and is prepared to continue this work if this committee and the General Assembly so desires. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Members, you've heard the explanation of the Advisory Committee on Open Government. Do we have any questions? Do we have anybody public comment? Yes, ma'am. You've done this before. As a reminder, just state who you are, who you're with, and you've got 3 minutes.
I'm Deborah Fisher. I'm the Executive Director of Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, which is a nonprofit that has been around since 2003. And we're one of the 14 organizations that submits names every 4 years to the comptroller for one of the positions, for him to choose among for one of the positions on the Advisory Committee on Open Government. Our previous executive director, Frank Gibson, was actually involved in 2006 to 2008 in promoting the establishment of the Office of Open Records Council and the Advisory Committee on Open Government, modeling those things, getting ideas from other states and modeling these 2 offices and the committee on things that have been done elsewhere. As the current executive director of the nonprofit, TCOG, I spend a lot of time studying the public records landscape and the problems and also some of the successes out there. And I've also observed the Advisory Committee on Open Government for more than 10 years. And attendance, I would say, by the 14-member board has been spotty before this recent go-around. Sometimes you wouldn't even have enough for a quorum. This year and last year, for the first time in a very long time, the Advisory Committee has gotten organized and has 2 very strong, effective co-chairs, very strong, was able to get many things settled and the group together. Unfortunately, these 2 people are set to roll off the Advisory Committee on Open Government this year. Their organizations are required to submit 3 names to the comptroller to choose among to replace them. And that loss of good leadership, in my view, would itself slow down the progress that ACOG has made in the past 2 years. I've made some written recommendations and left a copy in each of your offices. You should have that. But I do think it would be a mistake not to extend the Advisory Committee on Open Government when a time when government is quite complex and interest in government by citizens is high. And I know that many of you on this committee who I've talked with personally value transparency in government. That said, I welcome this sunset review of the Advisory Committee to examine how ACOG can be a better service to the state. I'll highlight just one thing and then I'm done, but one thing from my recommendations, and that is the purpose of the Advisory Committee on Open Government. And what is it that you want it to do? I think the committee itself is frankly sometimes confused about that, and maybe why they haven't done a whole lot in its existence. But one thing that is lacking, I think, in the administration of the public records law in this state is a good dialogue between public records custodians, the government, public records request coordinators, and what I would call the requester community. There is very little of that happens. And I actually think this committee is it's set up to be a collaborative, consensus-building committee to look at some of the friction issues there and perhaps make recommendations. There's a committee
you.
like this in the federal
Go ahead and wrap
government.
up.
So that's what I would suggest, that you look at some of the recommendations and think about how ACOG could be strengthened.
Thank you. Members, do you have any questions? Right on. Thank you. Thank you. We will entertain a motion. Chairman Lefty. Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Rose, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a recommendation for a 4-year extension to the Advisory Committee on Open Government.
We have a motion and a second for 4 years. Take the roll and send it, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling. Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hatcher votes aye. Senator Jackson. Senator Kyle. Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose. Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland. Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 5 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Members in the House in favor of 4-year extension, say aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. There will be a 4-year recommendation to full committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on track, moving to our next one that always makes us nervous when we see them. They carry an immense amount of authority over our lives. And the thing that we're scared about the most is when they say you're fixing to be audited, if we're all honest with each other. Let's welcome the Bureau of Ethics and Campaign Finance. The people who clapped will not be audited. Those of you who did not clap will be audited. I just want you to know that. And there's video and picture of that. And so guess what? I won't be audited because I'm leaving. But the rest of y'all are hating life. Just kidding. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We would love to hear your thoughts and whatever you have to say. We're all ears, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Faison. Always good to see all of you here. Appreciate you're taking the time to hear from us. I'm going to be very short. First, I want to introduce myself and our staff. I'm Bill Young, the Executive Director, the Bureau of Ethics and Campaign Finance. Sitting to my left is Janet Williams, our Chief of Staff. Janet's been with us 27 years, so she really knows how our organization works. Sitting to my right is Lance Purcell. Lance has been with me since I joined the Bureau 7 years ago. It doesn't seem that long, but it was. And then behind us is Seth May, our relatively new General Counsel. Glad to have them here. They keep me out of trouble. I will say, Mr. Chairman, 6 years goes by too fast. It doesn't seem like it's been 6 years since we were up for sunset, but it has been, and so we're here again. All of you kind of know what we do. We report to a Bureau of Ethics and Campaign Finance. That's a 12-person bureau, appointed 4 by the Speaker of the House, 4 by the Speaker of the Senate, and 4 by the Governor. We're unique in that we are required by law, the Bureau is required by law to have 6 members from the majority party and 6 members from the minority party. So we're equally divided. I want to thank you for making sure that those 12 members are all appointed timely and serve. We don't have any holdovers anymore. And I also want to thank you for sending me good members of my board. I don't say that because I report to them and they control my job. I say that because they do a good job. They care about following the law that you set. They are usually appearing in person at their meetings. Most of the time they don't call in. They travel from all ends of the state to be there, and they take their job very seriously. So thank you for sending us good members. I also want to thank Secretary of State Hargett. As you know, we're administratively attached to the Secretary of State's office, and Secretary Hargett takes care of us, handles our administrative responsibilities for us, and it's been a joy to work with him over the last 7 years. We have responded to the various questions that you submitted us. They were quite extensive. You have those responses. I'm not going to reiterate those responses now. I am going to make a few revisions that some have occurred since we sent those to you. Some are just changes. On the registry board, 6 members, we do have a new chair of that, it's Paz Haynes. Also the secretary, and many of you know this gentleman is Curtis Johnson, who used to serve in the House, was deputy speaker, as I recall. He's now our secretary for the registry board. Also on question 10, we just didn't catch this. There was a change in the law 2 years ago that requires us to give 5 days notice of any public meeting. We do that. It said 48 hours in response to question 10, but we actually note on the public notice, we are given notice 5 days before that as required by the statute. And finally, I lamented in response to question 24 that we needed a second auditor, and we had asked for that for several years and hadn't gotten it. And lo and behold, you must have read my response, because I learned from the Secretary of State's office a couple of days ago that this General Assembly did approve our request for a second auditor. And I know it was a tough budget year. It was tough to do that, but it is greatly appreciated by my staff. We are in the process of hiring a new director of audit. He will start with us on September 1. He was excited to hear he's going to have some help. We are behind on our audits. And we intend to catch up quickly once he comes on board. And there's going to be a press announcement on him shortly that Director Frissell is preparing. But we're excited to have this gentleman with us, and excited that you're going to give him some help too. So we appreciate that. So those are the revisions to what we've given you. I'm really here to answer any questions you have. And I know, Mr. Chair, you're giving me a hard time, but we do work very hard to make sure that the members here and the folks who we regulate are in compliance. We don't want to be considered a gotcha agency. We want to make sure people are in compliance and following the law. And that's certainly the intent of the folks I report to on the Bureau, and my intent. We try to answer questions as soon as we'll get them, respond to emails as soon as we'll get them. Both Director Frissell and I, and even Ms. Williams and Mr. May, we give you our cell phones and you can call me anytime. And a lot of you do get some calls late or on the weekend, but that's fine. Sometimes you need answers quickly, so we're happy to do that. So, Mr. Chair, I'm ready for any questions you might have, and have staff here to help me with us.
Thank you, Director. Members, we all understand that politicians are about as popular as the flu. And basically because of corruption that is prevailing throughout our country and has from the beginning of time, it's so important to have someone who makes sure that the money and finances that we've raised to run our campaigns is making sure we're doing it with integrity and honesty. And I will say this personally, for me, I have aggravated two of those gentlemen many times, making sure before I do something, is this right? Is this wrong? What do I run amok in if I do it this way? What I've found is when you ask questions up front, they will either help you figure out a way to do it legally, or say, this is really not okay, and you're going to get in trouble if you do this. And there's times that I'm like, man, surely this was legal, and no, it's not. Or I can't believe I can do this. Absolutely, you can do this. I can't tell you to avail yourself of their services enough, because they're there. And one of the beautiful things about this department, we live in such a hyper-partisan world. There's nothing hyper-partisan about them statutorily, because it's even between the Democrat and the Republican. And I love that. And they're not interested whether you're the Speaker of the House or a brand new member who just got here, like our buddy that replaced his father back here. They're going to give you the same treatment regardless of who you are in this body. And that's a beautiful thing on y'all's part. Members, do we have questions? I do have. Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to use any names, but I know that one of our members is curious. What is the statute of limitations after they leave office? Thank you, Chairman.
That was out of order. Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
I don't know who thought an extra auditor was a good idea, but we'll leave it at that. But I just wanted to ask, first of all, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate it. Like Chairman Faison, as a caucus chairman, you help us resolve a lot of issues before they become issues, and for our members that we represent and have the privilege to serve. But I was just curious, can you enlighten us as to any cockamamie questions or ideas that Jeremy Faison had that you just had to flat say no to?
Quit badgering the witness.
Representative Clemens, I will say the record that I'm going to miss Chairman Faison in this General Assembly. And I want to encourage, and you, most of you do, but I want to encourage everyone to do what he does. He calls me. If he's got a question, he calls. And I'm glad he does, because that's what he's supposed to do. And all of you should do that. I've given a number of you my cell phone. You certainly have Assistant Director for Sales. We want to answer those questions. You call me. And he does it. And so I compliment him for doing it. He calls, we have very frank conversations, and I appreciate the support. As for the second auditor, Representative Clemens, I wouldn't need him if the General Assembly didn't require us to do all these audits. That by statute, I think we are required to do so many of candidates and so many of lobbyists, and the lobbyists really appreciate us doing the audits of them too. So thank you, sir, for your question.
Director, can you tell the committee, how is a senator or a representative chosen for an audit? Is it somebody filed a complaint, or they did something that make you like, wait a minute, that seems right, let's audit them or her? What makes your office say, you know what, we're going to audit Representative Clemens? He was mean to Jeremy yesterday.
Well,
how does that work?
Two ways that audits occur under our statute for representatives and candidates, actually, for your office too. Every 2 years, we're required to, I think it's 4% of the total candidates and office holders. And we actually do that by random drawing. The Attorney General, who was just here, he sends someone from his office to supervise that. So it's random. We're not allowed to just pick you because we like you or because we want to. It's a random draw. And then we notify you of that period of time that's being audited and get the records that we need. The other opportunity for an audit is if you have unitemized contributions that exceed, I think it's 30% of your total contributions. As you recall, two or 3 years ago, the statute was changed to lessen the opportunity to use unitemized contributions. And I always tell folks, don't do any unitemized contributions anymore, because if you hit that 30% threshold, then you bind yourself an audit. Just go ahead and find the information you need and itemize them all so you don't have that audit experience. But that's how it works, Mr. Chairman, at least on the campaign side. And then we also do lobbyist audits too, but it's the same process.
Thank you. Thank you. I just felt like, Chairman Clemens, I'm just kidding. Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to share my appreciation. I far too early had a run-in with the Bureau of Ethics and Finance, Campaign Finance, because I had a person in, actually a group of people in my district that filed a false claim about me. And they leaked it to the media. I think it was the first time in your history where a group of people filed an ethics complaint against an elected official and then leaked it to the media before it even got to you. And I asked the Bureau to, and they did that obviously as an attack on me. I asked the Bureau if they could meet sooner, and I took my ability away to have it done, like in the normal process. I said, you can do it out in the open. And immediately they met within that month, and was able to, and I saw the bipartisan effort there in full display, where the group was split, and they were able to very quickly identify in a very bipartisan way that this was frivolous, and they were able to dismiss it. So I just appreciate that. I saw a full display my first year, and I'm thankful for you guys.
Right on. Thank you. Do we have any further comments from the House or the Senate? Director, you have anything else you want to add?
I have nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Well, I would suggest that we further y'all and keep you going. So I will entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have public comments? None. Dr. Rose, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a recommendation for a 4-year extension to the Bureau of Ethics and Campaign Finance.
Proper motion, properly seconded. Members in the House, All in favor, and I suggest every one of you vote for this if you don't want an audit, say aye. Any noes? No audits there. Call the roll in the Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling. Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hatcher votes aye. Chairman Jackson. Senator Kyle. Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose. Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland. Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 5 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
We have a positive recommendation to the full committee. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. We are moving forward. We now have item number 4 in your agenda. We have the Conservatorship Management Task Force. Gentlemen, welcome to the coolest committee happening on Capitol Hill today. We're proud you're here. Would you step up to sit down at the microphone? We will turn it on for you. Let us know who you are, who you're with, and tell us about the Conservatorship Management Task Force.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Trey Jones, and I'm the Legislative Director of the Department of Disability and Aging. Joining me today is Kevin Beck, our Senior Counsel, and Dane Mortensen, our Legislative Liaison. I'll turn it over to Kevin to kind of give a brief overview of the Conservatorship Management Task Force, and then we'll answer any questions you may have.
Good morning and thank you. The Conservatorship Management Task Force was established by Public Chapter 417 and became effective July 1 last year. It has 9 members that are composed of ex officio of the commissioners of the Department of Disability and Aging, Health, Human Services, and Mental Health. Each of those commissioners has designated a designee or a proxy to be on the task force, and I am the designee of Commissioner Turner with Disability and Aging. Additionally, the governor appoints a member of the Judiciary. Chancellor Pam Fleener from Hamilton County is our chairperson and member of the Judiciary. We have a member of the State Court Clerks Association who is Gina Smith from West Tennessee. We did endeavor to make sure that we had representation from across the state, and we were happy to be able to do that. And then we also have a member from the Tennessee Center for Decision-Making Management and a member from the Conservatorship Association of Tennessee. The remit of the task force is set out in subsection E in Chapter 417, which I've included in the responses that were submitted. The purpose is to review the provision and direction of available resources to promote effective and successful conservatorships. Review educational offerings and requirements for conservators and the public about conservatorships in the state. Determine the capacity to document and track information for conservatorships in one central location. Review the capacity to detect fraud and abuse of persons subject to conservatorship by enhancing the state's ability to identify potential areas of concern. Review the capacity of the public guardianships program and determine the need for an independent conservator panel or professional conservators. Review the monitoring of conservatorships and determine the necessity for a central oversight office, and then any other issues identified in the course of the work. As I mentioned earlier, we came into effect July 1st of last year. We are required to meet at least quarterly, and we have met quarterly ever since coming into effect. We met in September and December of last year, and we also met in March and June of this year. We will have another meeting scheduled for September of this year. We are required to submit an annual report by the end of each year, and we were able to do that. Our very first meeting was in September, and that was basically an organizational meeting for everybody to get to meet each other and go over the statute. And over the course of the meetings, we have received information from the Administrative Office of the Courts, which also has a member on the task force. I think I omitted her, Laura Blunt. Is an exceptional member of the task force. We're working closely with the Administrative Office of the Courts to try to get into data that is collected. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that people bring to bear to address the questions in the statute, but there's really not a single repository of a lot of actionable data. So we are trying to find out what data is collected, where it's collected, and then see how we could bring that data to bear to answer the questions that are in our statutory remit. At one of our meetings, we heard a presentation from Amy Bryant with the Conservatorship Management Office from Davidson County. At another of our meetings, we had a presentation from Public Guardian from Davidson County. So we are trying to get input from the public. We are trying to collect actionable data. And we feel like we've made good progress. Again, we've only been in existence for barely a year now. And we feel like we're making good progress. We would like to continue the work that we've been doing. It's a complicated area of the law. It is very granular to some degree, to the extent that there is not currently a single state oversight body. And that's something that we've talked about, but it's too early. It's premature for the committee to offer any specific recommendations as to that yet, because we are still in the gathering phase of specific data. I think that's most of what I wanted to present. I appreciate having the opportunity to address the committee. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
Thank you, sir. Committee, you have heard his explanation. Do we have questions for our presenter? Yes, sir. Chairman Clements, you recognize.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say whatever legislator introduced the legislation to create this is a really good fella. I want to get that on the record. Second of all, I appreciate the challenge that we presented y'all with in creating this, but this is a very important population of people that require protection. So I just really want to thank y'all for this. And I know it's granular and I know it's challenging given all the different counties and systems. And that was kind of the intent and a root of the concerns when we introduced that legislation. So thank y'all. And hopefully, you know, the conservatees across the state of Tennessee will benefit because of your hard work. So thank you.
Thank you.
In a bipartisan agreement, we agree, and it's not necessarily a sexy outfit, if you will, but it's an important outfit for a lot of people in Tennessee. Do we have any public comments? Anyone else on the committee? We will entertain a motion. Dr. Rose, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. I would. There we go. I'll make a recommendation for 2-year extension for the Conservatorship Management Task Force.
We have a motion and a second. Members of the House in favor of a 4-year extension, 2-year extension, say aye. Aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. Call roll and Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling? Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher? Senator Hatcher votes aye. Chairman Jackson, Senator Kyle, Senator Rose. Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland. Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 4 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
The ayes have it. Motion for 2-year goes to full committee. We are moving on. Item number 6, State Board of Equalization. Welcome to this invigorating, exciting committee. Sit down at the microphone. Let us know who you are, who you're with.
Good morning.
You're recognized.
Good morning, Chairman and Committee. I'm Caroline Grassi, Legislative Director for the Comptroller's Office. Joining me today is Robin Pope, the Executive Secretary for the State Board of Equalization, and he is going to give you a brief overview of the board.
Good morning. Thanks for having us today. So the State Board of Equalization, our jurisdiction, the board's jurisdiction is really about 3 main categories of things: assessment appeals, exemptions, and what I like to broadly say is just administration of the property tax exemption assessment sort of process in general. Appeals are by far our biggest thing that we do. So assessment appeals are originally first heard at your local level by your county board of equalization. And then from there, you can then appeal up to the Tennessee State Board of Equalization. The second thing is exemptions. So all your religious, charitable, scientific, and nonprofit educational organizations who own property can apply for a property tax exemption, and they do so at the state level with our office. And then finally, administration involves a lot of approvals and work done by other agencies that's reviewed at that state level by the board. The board consists of the governor, the 3 constitutional officers, the commissioner of revenue, and then 2 appointees by the governor. The governor, although technically chair, is the only board member with a proxy who usually appoints his legal counsel, who currently has appointed Alexa Witcher as our other board member currently.
We're happy to answer any questions you may have about the board.
Right on. Members, you've heard the explanation. Do you have questions? Chairman Lafferty, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for being here. I was just curious about kind of how does that handoff work between the county and the state? If you guys trained those guys to do their job, what does that look like on the back end for you guys?
So there is an appeal process. So once you go through that county level, the county is responsible for sending you a notice of that outcome of the decision. From there, you have a window of time to then file a separate appeal at the state level. So it's up to usually the property owner to decide if they want to appeal it further. And if they do, we have a portal online. We also give out paper applications to have people fill those out and return them so we can get their appeal filed.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Further questions? Right on. We'll entertain a motion. Oh, public comment? Seeing none. Entertain a motion still. Chairman Lafferty, you recognize.
I'd like to make a motion to extend this entity for 6 years.
Members, you have heard the recommendation. I'm looking for a second. We've got a second. Proper motion, proper second. All the members in the House in favor of a 6-year extension, say aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. Call a roll of Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling. Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher. Aye. Senator Hatcher votes aye. Chairman Jackson. Senator Kyle. Yes. Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose. Aye. Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland. Aye. Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 5 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
The ayes have it, and we have a recommendation for 6 years to the full committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. May the good Lord take a liking to you. Item number 7, Housing Development Authority Board of Directors. Welcome. You're recognized, Dr. Perry.
I guess I'm live. I am Ralph Perry, the Executive Director of the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. Rob Cagle is our legislative liaison. You have our submittal, and I'm happy to take any questions you have for us about that or any aspect of our work. I want to be respectful of your time, but I would like to reiterate just a few points about the work that we do on your behalf. Now, THDA is your state housing finance agency. Our founding purpose and principal line of business is financing mortgages for largely first-time home buyers in that moderate middle income range. It is the earnings from our mortgage business that fully cover our operational costs. We receive no state appropriated dollars for that purpose. It's obviously, it's often said, try to run your government more like a business. We actually have to do that. It's a more challenging home buying environment for the Tennesseans that we try to serve. Our typical customer, picture a family in their early 30s. They have household income of about $73,000. They need some down payment assistance from us to buy a house that's going to be about $280,000, higher in the greater Nashville area, as you could imagine. But there isn't a great deal of inventory anywhere in the state in those price ranges. Nonetheless, since our last review, we have financed over $2.2 billion worth of mortgages and helped more than 10,000 Tennesseans become homeowners. I want to emphasize that we do all that in a very careful and conservative manner. What we offer home buyers through more than 150 private sector lenders is a competitive rate on a 30-year fixed rate, no gimmick mortgage. We'll help you with the down payment. We require home buyer education. And after the close, we are the loan servicing. We underwrite more conservatively. The federal government will actually put a guarantee behind mortgages for people with credit scores in the 500s. We require a 640. Our average customer is actually a little over 700. FHA will finance mortgages for people with debt to income ratios well above 50%. We top out at 45, and our average customer actually comes in at about 39. As a result, our loan delinquency rate is maybe half of what the overall delinquency rate is for FHA loans nationwide. We've also developed the capability to finance more of our mortgages through the secondary mortgage market, which lessens our dependence on the issue of bonds. And it also gives us the flexibility to be in the market through a variety of economic conditions. In addition to our mortgage business, we finance a variety of other affordable housing activities through our Housing Trust Fund grants, various pilot programs we undertake around the state, and we administer roughly a dozen federal programs on the state's behalf. Taken together, that is a broader range of program responsibility than that given any of the nation's other state housing finance agencies. And I want to assure you, we do that work real well. We have earned 23 consecutive clean financial audits from the Comptroller's Office. Each year, we undergo a SOC audit, which is considered the gold standard when you're assessing systems and organizing controls and cybersecurity. And of course, we're regularly reviewed by each of the federal agencies whose programs we administer. We have a fully staffed internal audit division whose director is hired by and directly accountable to the Audit and Budget Committee of our Board of Directors. And we operate with the oversight and policy guidance of that board, which includes all three constitutional officers, the Commissioner of Finance and Administration, the governor's representative. Each of the speakers has an appointment. And I should note here that since we sent our packet up to you, Speaker Sexton has appointed Grady Vanderhoeven of Knoxville, so we have our full complement of board members. 7 are chosen by the governor, who also designates our chairman. I believe this is a governing structure that has served our state and our agency very well. We operate on a fiscally sound and conservative manner, always have, and we strive to be always seen doing the right things in the right way for our citizens. We try to approach our work with 3 overarching goals in mind. We want to align our programs and products to meaningfully impact and expand affordable housing opportunity for Tennesseans. We want to be excellent stewards of the resources we have to do that, and we want to earn strong earnings that we plow back into number 1. Viewed in that context, every single job at THDA supports at least one of those 3 objectives. And in that way, even though we do a great many different things, we add up to more than the sum of our parts. I often try to tell our team that, when we do our work right every day, someone in Tennessee is a little better housed. We would be honored to again have your vote of confidence to be able to continue that work. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Director Perry. Committee, we have heard explanation of them. Chairman Laffer, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious about the numerous programs you mentioned from the federal government, about how much money flows in from the federal government in Tennessee with through those programs.
Round numbers, about $500 million.
Okay. All right. It's a lot of dollars. How much does it take the feds to finance, or not to finance? How much does it take them to run their operation in DC so basically, we've taken a dollar from the public. We've sent it to DC. DC's taken a little piece of it. They've sent it back to us to put to work. We get our little piece of it. We put it to work. Any idea what the cost of that structure is, the underlying?
It's a lot more. It would be more helpful if more of the federal dollars we get could be used to actually developing housing for Tennesseans. 80% of what we get is earmarked for vouchers and energy assistance, for example. I'm encouraged by some of the things we're trying to do in Washington. President Trump is right in addressing some of the regulatory barriers that make it harder, more expensive to build. But there are also opportunities for us to try to work on that at the state and local level. And we look forward to perhaps offering some suggestions that you all would find helpful.
Thank you. I appreciate your answers. Thank you, Chairman.
Any further questions or comments from members of the committee? Do we have any public comments? See none, I'll entertain a motion. Chairman Lafferty, you recognize.
I'd like to make a motion for a 4-year extension.
Members, we have a proper motion, a proper second for a 4-year extension. Call the roll in the Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling? Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher? Senator Hatcher votes aye. Chairman Jackson? Senator Kyle? Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose? Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chairman Sutherland? Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 5 ayes, Mr. Chairman.
Members in the House in favor of a 4-year extension, say aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. Move forward with a positive recommendation to full committee.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Members, we are at the end of our calendar. Hallelujah. Item number 8, Tennessee Rehabilitative Initiative and Correction Board. Welcome. As they approach the bench, I will tell y'all a quick story. Historically, 12 years ago, I chaired Government Operations Committee, and there were some major issues with it. There were multi-million-dollar audit findings, and it was a situation. One of the beautiful things about this committee is that was brought out. We restructured the board. They got a new CEO. And since that time, this board has had multiple clean audits and is doing an amazing work. If you don't know much about this board, he's not going to get into it as much today because I don't want him to take that much time. They actually do some really good stuff that impact people in your district. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for y'all all to meet with him one day and find out what all they do for prisoners and for families in the state. With that being said, you are recognized, sir. Tell us who you are, who you're with, and tell us about your organization.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is David Hart, and I'm the CEO with Tricor. And I've been with Tricor now 18 years, and 10 years of that has been as the CEO. And I'm really proud of our organization. To my left is Jimmy Bivens, and he is the Chief Operating Officer. He runs all of the programs, industries across the state. And to my right is Brian Wilson, and he is our CFO. In the audience, I have Nikki Turner, who is our Chief People Officer. If you're not familiar with what a people officer is, it's HR. So with that, just have a few quick comments. First of all, we are an agency that is governed by 9 members on a board of directors that's appointed by the governor of this state. Recently, we had our chairman pass away, Mr. Jim Tracy, and I know most of you know Mr. Tracy. A big loss for the state and a big loss for us. We really enjoyed Mr. Tracy's leadership on our board, and he will be greatly missed. Since we introduced the packet to you all, the governor has selected a replacement for Mr. Tracy, and that is Adam Barnhart, and he is a minister over in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. So I haven't actually met Mr. Barnhart yet. I'm actually having lunch with him on Friday, and so I'll get a good feeling for him, and he'll get to know Tricor a little bit more. Some of the things that I think are really important, I was really impressed with Mr. Perry's 21 straight years of clean audits. We've gone 4, and I think we're going to have 5 years of clean audits, no findings through the comptroller. This has been a long collaboration between the comptroller's office, finance and administration, and Tricor over the years to get to these points. They've done just a fabulous job working with us, kind of pinpointing the areas that we need to get better at. And we look at it as a continuous improvement effort. And I think that has paid off over the years. And we've really cemented some key processes and procedures, in our fiscal reporting and the things that we're looking at. We're also very proud. We've still remained self-sustaining as an agency. So we also do not receive our state appropriations. All of the monies that we collect from the sale of products and services goes back into our business to fund new capital expansion with equipment and programming. So we're real proud of that. Over the last 5 years, we've saved the state a little over $34 million in either cost reimbursement or cost avoidance. And that's another piece that, again, we're extremely proud of. We worked with our key partner, the Department of Correction, and one of the things that we've been able to do with a recent program that we have put together, which is commissary. We've helped to reduce contraband introduction into the prisons just due to us taking the commissaries by around 25 to 30% is what I think Commissioner Strata has indicated, to me when I meet with him on a monthly basis. So, we have a lot of really good things that we're working on. Recidivism has been one area this past year that has been a problem. We saw this. We track 1, 2, and 3-year recidivism rates. So with this particular cohort that just finished up in June 30th of this year, they finished right at 30.6% on our recidivism rate, which for us is about twice as much as what it normally is. We saw something happening with this particular group in the 1-year outlook and then in the 2-year tracking. And so we started putting a lot of different action plans and things together to try to get on top of this and help the cohorts in behind them. And what we have seen is some great improvement, in the next 2 cohorts that are coming through. We hope to be back on track around our 15% recidivism rate in the next 2 to 3 years. So I just ask for a little bit of patience there. There's some outstanding issues that we had to address that we don't have direct influence on, but we're figuring out ways to come up with action plans that are making a difference. With that, I think I am done and I am ready to take any questions that you may have for us.
Thank you, Director. Do we have questions or comments from the committee? Chairman Lafferty.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I've dominated this committee today. Just curious, you mentioned some of the programming that you do and the training that goes on. But ministry, have you got Christian ministry? Is that in any way part of what you guys do?
No, we're non-denominational and we don't go in there. We do work with like Men of Valor, and we work with Dismas House and the Magdalene House on the post-release side for housing, programming, and for other resources that they provide that, we're also looking for out in the communities. But we don't bring that into our programs on the inside.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Rose, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've had the opportunity to go in a couple of prisons and particularly with the textile products they're making, the uniforms and different things, and to see, I guess, a sense of purpose for those folks that are involved in that. And it's really encouraging to see their pride in what they're doing. They're not proud of why they're in there, but they certainly have a purpose and a mission. And I just want to thank you for, I haven't been to all the others. I used to go to Shoals Landing in Lauderdale County, and we'd go by the West Tennessee prison and see the folks working the agricultural crops. And my question, I guess, is, first of all, thank you for what you do. From the agricultural end there in West Tennessee, are they still working that with the inmates, or is that being subbed out to a farmer?
No, we farm right around 2,500 acres on that farm that we put into soybeans and corn. We have around 10 offenders that work with modern equipment, and we're teaching them the skills that are necessary, for them to be successful if they want to take on a career in agriculture, whenever they get out. It's a big investment for us, but we feel like that the skills that they're learning in agriculture, transfer very well into everyday life, obviously. So it's a big program for us.
Follow-up question on that. From the produce, at one time, I think they were produce, their cattle, the pigs and all that, the protein, any of that going on at that facility?
We don't do any of the gardening or any of the produce or any of that type of stuff. We do have a beef operation over in Bledsoe County, but that just is sold into local markets. There's no processing that goes on, and it goes into the prison system.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dr. Hatcher, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell me a little bit about how the inmates are classified and picked to work in these facilities. I too have been there, and with Senator Rose and I visited Textile, and what you're doing is great. Just tell us a little bit about what type of inmates get to work in these facilities.
Well, the classification of inmates, it's all classifications. It's really based upon their behavior once they are incarcerated into the prison system. So if they haven't had any disciplinary actions or, are not a problem, then what they can do is they can sign up and get on a job register for TriCorps, because TriCorps is a voluntary program. Once they're on the register and we have openings, then we hold, I'll call them job interviews, to where we interview each of the offenders that have applied, for the number of openings that we have. And then we make a selection just like what you would in the private sector. Because one of the things we're trying to teach them is that interviewing is a skill, and it's something that they're going to have to go through in order to get a private company job. And we want them to experience that.
I have one follow-up, if I may. How many inmates are actually working in the facilities that you have going on in our prisons right now?
We have right at 700 offenders across all the facilities in the state working on a daily basis. But we probably, over the period of a year, we see 1,200 roughly new faces or one-time people, because we got some that are leaving and then we have to backfill and all that, so.
And just one other, Mr. Chairman, tell us about what type of good time do these folks get by working with this facility?
I think they're earning 6 days a month whenever they have no disciplines and they're at work every day and meet all the criteria that we've set forth.
Thank you.
Dr. Fritz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your work. As a former Department of Corrections person 40 years ago, I recognize the contribution what you're leading makes to those men and women to be able to get out and lead productive lives. I think when I was at Morgan County the last time, then one of my last visits there, the lady that heads up the operation said she had inmates who, when released, had thousands of dollars to be able to reestablish life, which is tremendous benefit for them and their families. And so, again, my hat's off to you for the work that you've allowed there. And I'll piggyback with my question, my colleague from West Tennessee. In the farming operations, there was a time when we took gun lines and long lines out regularly to work the farmlands. That's kind of dissipated over time. Is there an opportunity to better utilize the farmlands associated at Fort Pillow and at Morgan County and at Bledsoe to help the state? And do you see an opportunity to do that and provide meaningful opportunities for those men and women to learn?
Thank you for that question and the comments. At Bledsoe, one of the things that we're really focused on right now is converting timber areas to pasture. We recognize that with the Tennessee Forestry Service that, there's a lot of potential, to convert some of the ground, into pasture, and which then leads to more agricultural opportunities for the men, which means a bigger program for us there. Fort Pillow, the one thing that we're really focused on is soil erosion. There's a big problem with that, and so we're working with the Soil Conservation Service in that area, and we're building catch basins and terraces, things like that, trying to control the erosion that is happening, because the ground and the soil is very loose and doesn't take much to wash it away. In Morgan County, whenever they built the new site, it really took a lot of that farmland away. There are times whenever we put some cattle up on the hill ground, there's some pasture there, I'm guessing towards the north. My directions isn't real good on that one. But everything else that we used to do some agriculture on is really more wetlands now and down into that creek bottom. And it's just not very advantageous for us to do anything there.
Dr. Rose, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last question, just follow up. Do you have any lifers that are involved in the workforce there at the prisons?
Yes, we have all different sentence types. We try to limit the number of lifers because it does not fit our mission, with them getting out and being successful then in the communities. But there is a big piece of having some lifers that help control prison management, as far as security and giving lifers a little bit of hope as far as if they get in our program, they can still contribute and then it keeps them from getting into a lot of trouble. So, but again, we try to limit that because it just doesn't fit.
Dr. Hatcher, you recognized.
Just to follow up, Representative Fritz, one of the reasons that I have found out being on the Oversight Committee for Department of Corrections, one of the reasons we don't do a lot of the stuff, taking inmates out and work now, because we're 400 people short in our employment in the prisons right now. So I think that we got to have everybody that we got to stay inside to take care of our inmates in there. That's one of the big problems we have.
Chairman Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator. I understand. I think there's a huge morale issue in hiring and retaining folks in the Department of Corrections. Unfortunately, that bottom land that you were talking about at Morgan County was all cornfields when I was a young man. And so I know it grows corn. I've stood with the 223 while they worked it. So there's probably an opportunity there, and manpower is an important thing. So thank you.
Further questions? I will entertain a motion. Public comment? Senator Kyle, you had a...
Positive recommendation.
Right on. We've got a motion for how many years? 4 years? 4 years? Do we have a second? We have a second. Properly motion, properly second. Call the roll in the Senate, Mr. Clerk.
Senator Bowling? Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Hatcher?
Aye.
Senator Hatcher votes aye. Senator Jackson? Senator Kyle? Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Rose? Senator Rose votes aye. Vice Chair Sutherland? Vice Chair Sutherland votes aye. You have 5 ayes, Mr. Chair.
All the members in the House in favor of 4-year recommendations say aye. Any noes? The ayes have it. Moves forward to Potter's recommendation. Members, this concludes committee business. Actions by this joint subcommittee are submitted to the Government Operations Committee for deliberation and final decision prior to being placed on calendar during legislative notice. Notice of future meetings will be posted in advance of scheduled meeting dates. We will be back this afternoon for rule review at 1 p.m. Without objection. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Dr. Rose.
I'm going to object.
Your objection is heard.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a comment, please.
Yes, sir.
Question and a comment. Is this your last time to chair this wonderful committee?
To Dr. Rose, this is my only time in the last 8 years to chair this committee, but this will be my last. Yes, sir.
Then the comment is this. You called us politicians earlier. And my predecessor made a very astute comment. He said when he was called a politician, he said, I'm an aspiring statesman. Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to say with all sincerity, you have accomplished not only to be an aspiring statesman, but to be a statesman. God bless you, brother. We appreciate your leadership.
Very kind of you. Very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. We are adjourned.